grab my pen and paper, because we're old school here, killing trees.
Love it.
And you just said you love killing trees.
Okay, I'm an environmentalist and I shouldn't have said it, and I take it.
Headline, comedian Allie Pearse hates trees.
It's the planet.
Let's be best friends.
Hello, I'm Cole Sauer, and welcome to Let's Be Best Friends, a podcast where I talk to people that I barely know and try and convince them to be my new best friends, because in times like these, who needs enemies? My guest today is Toronto comedian and someone always trying to spotlight women in comedy in Toronto, Allie Pearse.
Hello!
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am exhausted, but in a great way.
Tell me more.
It's Friday. I've spent all week staying up till like 5 or 6 in the morning like a good responsible adult. So killing it.
That's awesome.
It's great. I'm living my best life.
I have the opposite problem. I can't stay up past 10 lately.
Like you're just done at 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I don't know. And even that is like wild because it's not like I'm then waking up at 6. I'm still waking up at 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But I'm tired for no reason.
You're just in full sleep mode. You're getting ready for hibernation. That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, you're totally right.
I'm doing nothing but eating carbs and sleeping. That's all I do now. It's great.
Dude, I know. And I just moved. So I'm like really digging the new space and it's like a whole other sleep experience. That's for sure.
It's weird because COVID's like both the worst time to move and the best time to move, because it's like nice to get that change of scenery and to like shake things up a little bit, but also no one's here to help you move.
That is so true. I did hire movers.
Oh, wow.
Comedians. Yes. There's a comedian who you probably know, Andrew Barr, who also on the side runs a moving business. And although I should be also promoting the fact that he has an amazing album, and that's what you should be interested in, and not the fact that he can move your furniture.
Why not both? Play the album while he moves your furniture.
Exactly. Have that in the background. Yeah, because my boyfriend and I moved in together, and I think we moved like a chair, and a month before we were supposed to move, we had to like move a chair from room to room, and we both looked at each other and we're like,
we can't do this.
This isn't gonna work. We can't do this ourselves. We're little babies. Forget it. So there you have it.
I feel bad because like at the beginning of COVID, I had a friend moving into like his first house with his wife, and they were like having a kid, and they were like they had all this planned out, and then COVID happened, and then they were like, hey, because like I'm like a pretty big guy, so people are like, I'm like the moving friend.
Yeah.
So they were like, hey, Cole, you're like still down to help, right? And I was like,
oh.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of COVID, you were like, maybe, because we didn't know how bad we were going to get.
It was like April or May, so I was like, I guess I'll come.
No, did you do it?
Yeah.
No, April or May was like the thick of it.
Yeah, but I was still working at that time. So I was like, if I'm good enough for capitalism, I'm good enough to help my homie, you know?
He owes you big.
He owes me so big. It's crazy how big he owes me.
You risked your life.
I did. People don't think about it. People don't think about the struggles that I go through for these people.
No. We're going to let them know.
They better listen to the podcast. I'm going to guilt the shit out of them. So to start the interview, Larry King used to always say there's 5 questions to answer in every single interview, and because I'm a lazy interviewer, I like getting them out of the way right at the beginning. They are who, what, where, when, and why. I don't know why I counted like that. So we'll start with the who. Allie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am a Toronto-based stand-up comedian, and I have been doing stand-up for about 3 years. I love it, and it is a huge part of my life. However, obviously with COVID, we're sort of on pause. Mm-hmm. I'm also the creator of Slut Parade, which is a sex-positive comedy show, which you know because you did record it for us, which was amazing. And I also... I shouldn't be listing my resume at you as if you were like a job interviewer, but outside of stand-up, I also write for a show called Letterkenny.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh shit,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So,
Cool.
well, I do that, but that is also not happening right now because of COVID. So it's sort of the before times. I give my before times resume.
and I'd really like this job. I feel like I'm going to work really hard at it. I'm going to show you what I can do.
I had a job interview yesterday, so you're kind of like, I'm getting those vibes right now. It's not your fault, but maybe that's why I'm like rattling off.
You're ready to go.
My accomplishments at you, yeah.
Have you done any of the job? I've been applying to a bunch of jobs on like Indeed and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And have you done the automated phone interview yet?
No, what is that?
So Indeed has this thing. They have like the skill tests, right? But some jobs have these automated phone interviews where I guess they somehow set up a system to where your computer like asks you a question. And then it's like, respond after the beep, bing, and then you do your thing, and then I don't remember what you have to say like end, or you have to like hit a button or something, and then it goes to the next question. And it's
brutal.
Awful, worst thing ever. It's so like dystopian sci-fi. Like I'm applying to work as like a cleaner.
It's so funny. Like I can't tell if this is a good time or a bad time to look for a job. Like I have friends who are really, really struggling to find, I'm struggling to find work, but also just like, but I also think a lot of people aren't going back to their jobs because they're realizing like, oh, I'm making the same amount of money as if I don't work. Yeah. Like government will pay me to not do my job. So, I mean, there's a lot about society and our government, but
it's crazy the amount of people who looked at it and they were like, well, why would people ever return to work if they're going to get paid to stay at home? And I was like, yeah.
It's true. Well,
crazy how that works.
Like, I mean, I was working like pre-COVID. I was working at a coffee shop, and to be fair, like a great place to work. Like the place I worked for, the owners are like incredible people, and they're so sweet and like absurdly accommodating and really supportive of my career outside of working for them. But at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, like you're making $14 an hour. Yeah. Pretty hard to be like, oh yeah, I want to go work with the public and be dealing with people's hands and money. I want people to yell at me for their pumpkin spice latte to earn my money. Please and thank you. So yeah, I totally understand this sort of like a bit of rebellion, that people are just like, I don't want to work. And you know what else? I really feel like this has given people a chance to pause and be like, what do I want to do with my time? Yeah, I think that's the really interesting part, is that a lot of people are getting more into their side things, their hustles, right? Because they've had all this time and like they're realizing like, hey, you know what? Like now's the time. If I want to be a baker or a butcher or a candlestick maker, like now's the time. I don't have to go to Starbucks. Yeah, because you really don't have, obviously this isn't true for everyone. I have tons of friends who never stopped working, but it's like for somebody who is being forced to stop their job, it's kind of like that moment of rest you don't get very often. So it's just like, what does my life look like and what do I want it to look like? Those are very, very different things. Everyone got very introspective and very sad. I don't know if this was the same for you. My Twitter timeline was sad for the beginning of COVID. And I wasn't even really that sad. Yeah, I was living. I was like, hey guys, I started a podcast. Like I'm doing great. Yeah. I know, same. I had a friend call me and be like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, why? They're like, because online you look like you're on the edge. You look like you need the hotline. You are in a bad way. It was not good. We covered the what or the who. So for the what, I'm interested in so what got you started? So you've only been doing comedy for about 3 years now, you said. Yeah. What got you started in doing that, and how did it translate into the writing and things like that? Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I've always been sort of peripherally interested in comedy. And I was, I don't know, I wouldn't say that I was like a diehard stand-up fan by any means. Like I definitely have watched the most amount of stand-up in my life in the last 3 years, as opposed to like the occasional special before that. But I think like most people, I sort of was oh, I'm a bit of a class clown, and I sort of have this reputation with my friends. So you go like, okay, I have a bit of confidence in my sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do think that there's something there, but you're not like, oh, I'm going to go make a career out of it.
Mm.
And then I think what really kind of did it for me, and this isn't really true for everybody, but I took a class at Second City, and you definitely don't need to do that. Like doing stand-up comedy, you can just go and do it.
Yeah.
That's, you can go to open mics, you can write your own joke. But I think what it did for me is it forced me to actually commit to it. So instead of saying like, maybe I'll try this one day, I had to show up once a week and actually write. And then we had a class show. And so just that experience, you kind of go like, okay, I've dipped my toes in.
Mm-hmm.
I have a general understanding. It's not a fair representation of what it's actually like to go do stand-up because it's a very supportive audience. And then even after that, I took a break. I never really explored that again. I was, working a 9-to-5 job and I was kind of settled down. And then it kind of was like nagging at me, this thing. I was like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed that. And so I went through this quarter life crisis where I got out of this really long relationship, had to move out, was changing careers. I quit my job and I was like, what are the things that I want to do? And that was just something that was always there. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I first did a real open mic. And then from there was, okay, I understand this a little bit. I can, and then you get booked on shows and so on and so forth. So that's sort of the origin story.
The superhero origin story.
Yeah. And I was really lucky because right out the gate, I had 3 or 4 people that just were such incredible mentors to me, and for no reason, just were sweet and kind and generous with their time and their advice. Mm-hmm. And also at that time I had just applied for a job at Just for Laughs. So as a coordinator, not at all in the creative world.
Yeah.
So I'm originally from Montreal. So I went to Montreal for 3 months to do a contract with them. Mm-hmm. And once I was immersed in that world, I was like, oh, this is really cool. There's something here that I'm super interested in. And so that is, sort of how it's incremental. So you do a few open mics and maybe you get booked on a show and then it builds from there. Mm-hmm. And it was through stand-up that I think somebody passed my name along with another comedian, Olivia Stadler, who's a good pal of mine. And we were recommended to the creators of Letterkenny to do basically a consultation on a female-centric episode. And cool. Yeah. And then that kind of evolved. So it was hey, do you guys want to co-write this episode? And then we were contracted to punch up a few episodes. And then that turned into a 14 episode contract. So it's been obviously incredible. It's such a dream come true. And it's so fun working on that show. But I'm eager for them to continue so that I can work again. Because I do miss it. It's so much fun.
So what would you say that you're missing more right now if you had to pick one between stand-up and the writing?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. That's tough because there's nothing that can beat the experience of live performance when you do well. Mm-hmm. When you bomb, that's a whole other situation.
I mean, nothing beats that either, but it's the entire opposite end of the spectrum.
Total other. So it really is a 50-50 split because stand-up is you work alone and it's your craft and it's totally your responsibility what happens on stage. Whereas obviously in the writer's room, which we don't really have a writer's room, but it's way more collaborative. So it's a very, very different experience because you're bouncing off of other people's energy. Mm-hmm. And also I had only been doing that since March till July.
Oh, okay.
So it's it was still fresh and new. It was a new toy.
Yeah.
But I really miss performing. Yeah. Even though I will say every time I'm about to go on stage, I'm like, how the fuck do I do this? This is such a nightmare. I can't believe I agreed to this every single time. And then I'm on stage, I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. So that's interesting to me that so you've been doing it for 3 years and you still get that kind of butterfly feeling.
Oh my God. I'm so nervous anytime I go on stage.
Yeah. So how does that affect you when you do, because obviously when you do well, you come off and you're like, I'm top shit. Comedy's the best thing ever. But how does that affect you when you don't do well?
It's bad. It's bad. Well, I mean, I think also you get used to it. Like there were days when I would like, if you are new, you're not performing that often. So if you don't do well in a show, you're kind of like really sitting in it for a while, as opposed to like when you're doing stand up more often, like there was more often than not, I was doing more than one show a night. So even if you bombed, you would go to something else and kind of like cleanse your palate.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, the thing is it's like, once you accept failure as a huge part of growth, it's really hard to get as disrupted by it. Like it's equally as important to fail as it is to do well. Otherwise you just stay stagnant. You don't progress. So I mean, I think in the beginning it was really harsh, but even coming out of quarantine, we did some shows. I mean, everything's on hold now, but there was like a month where we were doing shows again. And I was like 50-50, either killing or bombing.
Yeah.
Like not nowhere in the middle. Like, okay, chill. And I think the bombs hurt a lot more then because there's so few shows at that time.
Yeah, it was very much getting back into it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was funny because I remember when the show started back up, and I remember I got booked on one, and I was like, I don't know any of my material anymore. Like I haven't even thought about comedy in like 5 months. I've been so like entrenched in everything else. Yeah. And then it got canceled. We're in second wave. Woo! Right. Back to podcasting.
The first show, what's lucky is actually right before, I think it was in February. So just like pre-pandemic, I was at a show, and actually it was really nice. I met this comic and he was headlining at Absolute, and he was like, hey, do you want to come and open for me, which was dope. And then he was like, right before I went on stage, he's like, I'm recording this for an album. Do you want me to record your set? And I was like, nah, like, I don't need it. I'm probably not going to have a great set. Like, I was so not in the headspace for it.
Yeah.
He recorded it anyways and sent it to me. And thank God, because I did not remember a single joke when we got on stage. Like, nothing. I couldn't remember anything. It's like you totally get in these grooves where you're like building and building and building. And then when you don't do it, you don't exercise that muscle, it's gone. Yeah.
I remember I was looking at my notes and I was like, I don't know what any of this shit means anymore. I fucking like I was like listening back to my old sets and I was like, none of these jokes are funny. Like what am I doing here?
I know. It's brutal.
I'm just gonna do nothing but COVID and quarantine jokes now. I'm just gonna hack it up. Let's go. So for the where, I'm interested. So you said you grew up in Montreal, you said?
Yeah.
So how long were you there before did you move to the city for like work or?
I moved here when I was 19, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I just like came sort of on a whim. I like I said, I grew up in Montreal. My family's there. My friends are there. Well, I have a few friends here.
Yeah.
But I've been I've actually been here for this summer is my 11th year here. So
wow.
It was so I've been here for a long time, and there wasn't a real reason. Like I studied theater in college, so I had a bit of an acting background, and I was like, oh yeah, if I want to take a stab at acting, I should be in Toronto. Mm-hmm. But even then, it's like I got here and I didn't really pursue it. So it wasn't like, it was kind of really just an excuse.
Yeah.
And I've been here forever. So I don't really think of, I mean, Montreal is still home in that like my roots are there. Obviously my family is there. My oldest friends are there, but I feel like Toronto is my home.
Yeah. And so do you still have your French locked down, or has it gone in 11 years?
Yeah, I mean, my family's Francophone, so luckily I don't have a choice. I have to speak French when I go home. But like, I struggle. As a person who's like fully bilingual, I really struggle with it because I still to this day, like, I just don't express myself in the same way.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it's like you're talking about with comedy, right? It's like a muscle that eventually kind of fades away if you don't do it every time, right?
When I was there working at Just for Laughs for that summer, it was like immediate. It came back.
Yeah.
You know? But I definitely like, even I'll call my grandmother and we'll talk in French and I'm just like, do you even understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if this makes any sense.
I don't know if the broken sentences I'm stringing together are making any sense, but
Exactly.
if you throw it in Google Translate, you'll understand basically what I'm saying.
There will be something.
Yeah. The word bibliotheque's been used. It's French. It's fine. So for the when, I kind of want to know when did stand-up become kind of the main thing for you? Because you said you took the class almost on kind of a whim, and then you started back up again, right? When did it become, okay, like this is the career now? Like I don't need the 9 to 5. I'm a writer. I'm a comedian. I'm killing it.
It's still not even close to being my bread and butter. Like I can't, before COVID, I would say, so like before COVID, I had 3 jobs, basically. I worked at the cafe. I worked at a restaurant, a hellish brunch restaurant that I could write a novel about.
Nice.
And then I did stand-up. Mm-hmm. So it was like and also like producing shows is its own beast, which because you saw me like in a total tizzy getting for my show. So it's a combination of all those things that supported my stand-up. But at 3 years in, it's like, obviously everybody has a different trajectory. Like I know people who started at the same time as me who like are on Just for Laughs and who have done like incredible things with their career. That's not where I'm at. It's like, it's just a slow process. And Letterkenny happened for me during COVID. So that wasn't even, that in itself, that's like a whole other thing on its own.
Yeah.
So now it's almost funny. It's like, now that I'm not working and not doing stand-up, I see myself more so as an artist than before because I'm actually spending time on my craft in a more focused way as opposed to like trying to survive.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. You don't have that same burden of like, well, I got work first. I got to make sure I'm paying my bills, and then I got to do the stand-up thing. Then I got to do now you're just be able to be like, I'm creative, brother.
But there was never a time where I was only able to rely on stand-up. And I think that's just, over time. Oh, yeah.
I mean, like only 3 years in, like there's people who've been doing it for, 10, 15 years who have only just started, living off of comedy. Yeah. I think, I don't remember who said it, but someone was like, getting successful is like 10% talent and 90% luck or something like that. Or like 80% luck and 10% hard work or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, totally.
You just got to bink like, whoever is in the crowd and goes like, hey, you're pretty funny. Hey, come to LA. Let's record an album.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So for the why, especially for comedians, I'm always really interested in what it is that kind of keeps you going, because like we know as much as anyone that the bombs can be so brutal and can be so like soul wrenching. Because you're right when you say that comedy is such an independent art that it almost, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but it almost makes the successes better and the failures worse, because the successes are like, I wrote all these jokes, I practiced all these jokes, these are my jokes and they're funny. But the failures are like, I wrote all these jokes, I practiced all these jokes, and they still suck. Like,
oh my God, it's definitely hard not to get precious about that stuff.
Yeah. So what keeps you going in what is it about comedy and about writing that like makes you want to keep going, that makes you want to keep pushing forward?
I think there's something about looking at the world through a lens and then encapsulating something really specific and then translating it to an audience that's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it doesn't have to apply to everyone. I think, like I obviously write in a very specific way. I write as much as I try, I've never written a clean joke. Okay. So it's like, I just accept that that's not going to work for everyone, and that's fine. That's not, the goal is not to please everybody. But I think what happens is when I write a joke that feels deeply feminist and it lands in a room that's very diverse in terms of like gender and culture, then I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. It's like, like even when I'm maybe poking fun at men a little bit or like talking about sexual experiences, I know that that's not, not everyone's going to connect with it, but is there something at its core that resonates with you? And if so, or someone, like, that's what's fun, is like when you kind of nailed that specific thing. It's really special, in my opinion.
Yeah. So for you, it's really the, like, just nailing kind of that human experience and being able to translate that.
I mean, what is more amazing than when you're like, am I alone in thinking this? And then someone's on stage verbalizing that emotion. It's so, it's like all of a sudden, it's like this immediate sense of inclusivity.
Yeah. You get that validation.
Exactly.
Love it.
There's something really powerful about that.
Yeah. There's a connection, I feel like, to stand-up comedy that only stand-up has. It's the only kind of live performance where there really is just that one-to-one, like, I do eat bananas weird. You're right.
Yes,
like,
yes. Or even like, and you know what it is too, now that we're talking about it, it's that vulnerability of somebody going on stage, like, even if you can't relate to what they're saying, the vulnerability is enough that you can relate to it. And maybe that's really what it is. It's like you saying I eat bananas weird. It's like, maybe I don't eat bananas weird, but I do other shit really weird. Yeah. And so when I hear someone being vulnerable enough to say that out loud to a room full of people, it's like, there's so much respect and love. That relationship is so interesting. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, so we've gone through our 5 questions. I just want to ask this really quickly.
Yeah.
Do you have a worst heckler story and how you dealt with it? I'm curious because you're talking about the connection. I think that's very real and very powerful and very cool. But I also know that people in comedy shows can be absolute, like, drunken assholes.
The thing I will say is I think there's been a lot of experiences, and I think there's been times where I've dealt with it well and not dealt with it well. But there's one instance I remember that I didn't deal with it well, and it bummed me out because, so, like, this, but people who are listening probably don't know this, but I do a lot of, like, dating and sex material, and it's a lot of stuff about, like, my personal experience, but I think, anyways, whatever. I can't really remember exactly what happened, but I was at a kind of a hell gig. Like, it wasn't horrible, but it was just like, the comedians are next to the door, like the front entrance, and like, everyone's coming and going in front of you, and like the servers have to walk by you. And I remember there was a guy who was sitting at the bar and he was drunk, and he made 2 comments, and I think one of them was I can't remember, but it was like he interrupted my set to call me a slut, basically. And then, dang, I really remember I wish I could remember what the other thing was, but it was so pointed and rude and fucked up, and I just kind of, like, shut down. Yeah. Like, I didn't, and this was, like, pretty early on when I started stand-up, and I didn't know what to do. Yeah. Like, I wasn't equipped with the skill set, which is one thing. Yeah. But it was also just like, I was being attacked as a woman, which it's like, I didn't know which thing to deal with first, like the heckler or the misogyny. Right. And it was really like, and everyone's watching you, waiting for you to respond. Yeah. And the thing is that, like, even though people during this whole show weren't really, this is what's kind of interesting, is that they weren't really paying attention throughout the show, because there was like a basketball game on and they were eating dinner. Like, it was a bad situation. Yeah. But they all stopped and listened, obviously. And instead of like wanting me to fail, they actually didn't. I could tell that they didn't want me to fail. Yeah. Which I don't think usually is the situation. Yeah. I think in those situations when a heckler kind of like fucks up a comedian, everybody either wants the comedian to like really shut them down, or they kind of like want to watch someone fall apart. Yeah. Yeah. It's very reality TV almost, right? Where it's like they either want to see like a fight or they want to see someone sad. Like, yeah, exactly. And I remember being like totally tongue-tied and not responding to it well. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, well, I think I'm done. Like, I didn't even know what to do. I was just like so rattled. Yeah. And someone in the audience who I know hadn't been paying attention was like, no, do one more joke. And like, they were really encouraging. Yeah. So I did one more joke. I was almost crying through it, but I did it. And then it's like, okay, well, at least I'm leaving on my terms. Yeah. But it did teach me that, like, there's very little you can control when you're on stage. Like, there's just not a lot that you can do to control the environment. And it's a skill that you have to master. And what's so funny is after I got off stage, that guy came over and was like, hey, I wasn't like trying to be rude or upset you. And I was like,
God.
I wanted to wring this guy's neck. I'm like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't breathe the same air as me. Bye. Like, I was so fucking pissed off. And whatever. And then that's it. And then who cares? You know, like, I know that it's not been so bad for me in terms of hecklers, and it will one day I'll get it really bad. Like everyone, it's unavoidable.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, there's always I think what's worse not what's worse is like you get a lot of audience members that are like, oh, this is a conversation, this thing that you're doing on stage.
It is
like,
not.
Oh, it's not.
No, this is a TV show. You are watching. That's it.
So that's really challenging. Like I've definitely had shows in the past, like especially when you're hosting, you're trying to rein people in. Like I know that happens a lot at Slut Parade. I want to make it feel like when we would do it at Comedy Bar, you want to make it feel really like, hey, we're all hanging out and this is fun. But that also gives people seemingly the license to start talking back. And it's like, I don't know. Like,
we're not having that level of having fun.
Yeah.
This is still a comedy show.
Yeah.
I remember the first show of mine I ever brought my brother to. My brother's the nicest guy in the world. He's an absolute sweetheart, and he would never like actively try and hurt anyone. But he's like a bit of an idiot sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it was I think my second show ever. And I was like, I'm gonna bring my brother. He brought his partner with him, and it was like, awesome. I'm putting you guys in the front fucking row because I was like, well, because I got into comedy kind of by osmosis because I hung out with so many comedians and I knew so many comedians that I was like, I'll give it a shot. So I was like, I know that, and I knew the guy running the show. It's like, I know that he wants people in the front. You're right here, right in front.
Right.
So then when the host went up, my brother said, the host said something and my brother responded, and the host just kind of went like, yeah, man, yeah, this is a conversation. Yeah, for sure. And I was like, oh, God damn it. Just stop talking. Because, like, he didn't mean to interrupt anything. He just kind of, like did it without thinking about it. Oh.
I also think it's that people, like, if you're good at what you do, generally people feel like they are watching your thoughts as they happen. They don't realize that it's executed material. So it's that kind of thing where, like, if somebody starts then... like you have like it seems like you're just being casual, but actually in 3, 2, 1, you're about to deliver a punchline. Mm-hmm. And so people sometimes they don't realize that there's a rhythm. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, oh, it's fine if I interrupt. It's like, no, now I have to, like, now the joke is gone. Like I can't do the punchline. Yeah. Because you can't go back and start your setup again. That looks awful. Yeah.
And it's something that you don't realize, honestly. And I specifically, I never realized until I was on stage doing it, that if that rhythm gets interrupted, you're like, oh, because like, I remember I would see comedians like freeze up after like their rhythm gets fucked up. And I'd always be like, well, like you have your notes, like you've probably done these jokes before.
Because a lot of comedians will rehearse things. Yeah. So and I think over time, like, and I still rehearse stuff, but I think over time you just like get more comfortable with an idea and then you feel safe again. And that I think has a lot to do with getting comfortable with failure. Yeah. Because if you accept that it might not go exactly as planned, then who cares? It doesn't mean the bit is over. Yeah. You can just explore it another time. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, damn, this is a fun.
Was that show in Toronto?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've only it's funny, I started doing comedy and I did it for like maybe 6 months or something like that, 5-6 months, and then COVID started. So I was like just starting to kind of get to the point where I was getting like booked and people were coming to me and I didn't have to just message everyone on Facebook. Yeah. And then COVID started and I was like, well, I'm not doing Zoom shows, so like, that's not happening.
No, it really sucks.
So we're gonna get set up here. I'm gonna have to move some shit around. So luckily, with the power of editing, no one's gonna see this part. Yeah. Okay. So we're back. This camera doesn't show my face anymore, but that's okay. The podcast isn't about my face; it's about your face.
Hey.
Hey. So we're doing yoga. So here on Let's Be Best Friends, if this is your first episode watching, I always like to try and make the conversation as comfortable as possible. And I find the easiest way to do that is to just get the guest in their comfort zone. And your comfort zone today was yoga.
Namaste.
Namaste. Tell me a little bit about yoga. What's with the yoga thing?
Here, let me pull this forward first.
Cool.
Well, I don't know how long I've been. The thing is I've almost never practiced. Well, that's not true, actually. I've gone through stints of practicing in studios.
Okay.
With teachers, and I love it. But I think that more like the bulk of my yoga practicing has been at home, just with videos on YouTube, specifically, as I was just saying to you off camera, with Yoga with Adriene. And the reason that I like Yoga with Adriene so much is because, well, first of all, it's a free channel, which is dope.
Nice.
And she puts out so much content. But what I like about her style is that it's going out to so many people. So she offers countless suggestions in terms of like adjusting for your specific body if you're not necessarily like a yogi, you know?
Yeah.
You can drop into any class that she has, any video that she has, and she'll teach you how to make adjustments to feel comfortable. And as
That's
somebody
awesome.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, I have chronic pain in my low back, and so I really struggle with certain things, but I'm not afraid to do her stuff because I know she'll guide through things that like will make it more comfortable for me. And you can be at really like any level. And I just find that her videos are great. So like right now, my mom and I are from a distance doing a 30-day challenge together that
cool.
did, so that's really fun. And yoga for me, I think what I like about it is that it feels, if you treat it that way, equal parts meditation, because you're so focused on your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And so breathing actually has been like a huge part of stand-up for me, because it's very, very easy before you get on stage to start to panic. And if you can look at that panic objectively and be like, okay, this is just my nervous system having a reaction to something that hasn't even happened yet. Yeah. You can kind of like drop down into your breath and just like get a ton of oxygen to your brain, and then you feel instantly better. Yeah,
well, it's funny too, because I've I don't want to say like I've led sessions, because it's more just like my friends want to try yoga and I know about yoga, but I always start with like the deep breathing is so important, and like the meditative part of it, like you don't have to believe in like auras and spirits and any of that bullshit. Like if you believe in it, it's chill. If you don't believe in it, it's chill, whatever. But like the meditation part is like 90% of it. Like getting yourself in the zone of the deep breathing and the thoughtfulness and all that stuff. The stretching is like extra. Like that's there, and that keeps your body in check. But you need to have that mentality to really get the full package.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Like I do think what happens is like we start to panic. Like we're in a pose and we're like, okay, this is coming up, and we start to panic.
Yeah.
And I like, again, specifically with Yoga with Adriene, but also just in general, it's like, can you look at that moment more objectively and be like, okay, wait, it hasn't even happened yet. How do I know that I haven't built up enough strength? And also, you can just adjust and not do that one specific thing.
Yeah, you can just, like, that's the other thing I like about it so much, is that yoga is so free form, and it's so like, you know, like I say, at the end of the day, it's just, the stretching is just kind of there, you know? Yeah,
exactly. And it's just like, you don't have to have equipment, which is dope. Like during COVID, it's like, it was such a lifesaver for me. Yeah. Because it's just like, you're home and you want to, you know, your body gets stagnant. There's like stagnant energy that just like creeps up, and all of a sudden you're like, you've been at your computer and you're like a little bitch. Yeah. Oh fuck, I gotta like unfurl my body, you know?
I went on I started running at the beginning of COVID, and then I just stopped because I was like, this is hard. And then I remember like a couple weeks ago or something like that, I went on a bike ride, and it was like a very short ride, but I got to where I was going and I was like, I'm so out of shape.
It's true. I definitely have I force myself to go on walks, because if not, it's so easy to stay home for 3 days and not do anything.
Yeah. Especially with the second wave coming, like it's gotten to a point where me and my roommates like only leave the house for like groceries and stuff, and I'm like, we need, if anything, just like the vitamin D. Like,
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
So, Swami Allie, lead us through our sesh.
Oh my God, me?
Yeah, how do we start? I've got my
maybe-
hot pink yoga mat. I'm ready to go.
Maybe we'll do like a little flow. What do you think about doing a little flow?
I am your instrument.
Or you know what? Let's do some side body stretches and get some thing going. So maybe we'll sit cross-legged.
Okay, done. Oh shit.
Have our hands at our side. I like to put like my palms on the ground.
Okay.
And then I think it's just like reaching over and deep breathing. And then do we talk shit at the same time?
Sure, man. I again, as I said off camera, I really didn't think this through.
It's okay.
So now we just talk about our least favorite comedians.
No, we love them all equally, remember?
We love them all equally. There's no comedians. Every comedian is each other's best friend.
Perfect angel.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a little flow. Let's get on our feet.
Okay.
Let me just adjust this.
Oh. Whoever's watching this one just gets to see my feet. It's fine.
I think this is the best when you wake up in the morning. So, I mean, you can't like fully see, but if you start with your palms at your heart, then I think, normally you would close your eyes, but now I'm going to be watching myself. So, a deep breath. Drop the palms, come up. And you just go straight down. And then this is a fun one. So, the idea is to like come halfway up and keep your neck. Like the idea would be that you could put like a teacup on the back of your neck.
Holy shit, that's...
You want to have like a straight spine that juts out, and just that kind of like, the idea I think is that you can create energy moving throughout the spine. And in these poses, they say you can put your palms on your shins, on your thighs, or even like airplane mode.
Airplane.
Down.
I am a bird.
Yes, I am a bird.
Oh God, I'm not this flexible. All right, there we go.
It's good. It's good. And then we'll take a deep breath and we'll come back up sort of with our arms out. And then palms back at the heart, baby.
Oh.
This is kind of where it all starts and ends, I think.
Nice.
Position. Yeah, let's do like one flow where we come up.
Okay.
And we go down, palms on the ground. Do a halfway here. And then when you come back down, put your palms in front of you.
Okay.
And right at a time, head into plank.
Head into plank. Okay, I can do that.
Cross each other here.
Kind of.
And you can kind of like, I like this position because you can kind of like rock back and forth on your toes and stretch your calves out.
Yeah. Oh.
And then if you've got the upper body strength, which I barely do, you can go down to the ground. And then we do a little cobra. And
Hell yeah.
But I'm trying to show you my face.
Hello.
And then back down. And then power up back to plank. And down dog, baby. Get that stretch out.
Okay.
Here we are. And this is where we stay for the next 30 minutes.
Now we just downward dog until we can't anymore.
Now we just downward dog it. This is like, I think that's like I don't know if it's a sun salutation or whatever, but that's like a good flow, I think, when you wake up, just to kind of like get the juices flowing.
Yeah, for sure. I think yoga is so good in the morning, right? Because it really gets like all your energy going.
Yeah. Now we can just do like floor poses so we don't have to be moving around. Like
Yeah, for sure. That works for me.
What I love is, and this isn't really like whatever, but I feel like we hold so much tension and stress in our hip.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like opening that up feels like, I remember one time it was in a yoga class and we did like really, really deep hip stretches. And the teacher was like, yeah, you might feel like kind of emotional if you're holding a lot of tension there. And I was like, that's fucking dumb. And then walked out of the class and burst into tears. And I was like, oh, I get it. Kind of like, I just think sometimes we carry stress in our body in weird ways, you know?
Yeah.
It just manifests itself. That's why, like, I don't think people give enough credit to stress as like an illness-inducing thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and it's kind of like when you recognize that your body is like, I don't know. Recently, I discovered naturopathy. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
Yeah.
And that was like life-changing for me because I was having some medical issues and I was talking to my doctor about it. And I like saw a specialist and all this other stuff. And I was like, you know, do I need to change my diet or do anything in that world? And she was like, no, like it's totally fine. And I just kept coming up against these issues over and over and over again. And then I called this naturopath and had one appointment with her. And she was like, yeah, we need to do an overhaul of your diet. Like, I don't eat unhealthy, but it's just like taking care of your gut health, which is something I never really knew anything about. I don't know. Should we keep going? What do you think?
I'm good to keep going. I'm good to... Let's try something stupid. What's like the hardest pose you know how to do?
I think the one that's really hard is when you have to like balance. Like, I can't even really do it, but when you balance on your, like your knees are on your elbows.
Knees on your elbows?
So you're like, so you kind of start like this.
Shit.
And then it's a balancing pose, but like, my toes are off the ground now.
What the fuck? Okay.
But there are people who do it and who are like, I don't know, they can do like all kinds of crazy shit. I'm like, I can barely get up here.
Okay, wait, I can almost do it. Oh, nope.
It's tough.
I got too much of a beer gut. I used to be able to do a handstand, and that was like the proudest I've ever been in my life.
Forget it. I could never do that. It's so wild.
When I was in like good shape, I used to be able to do it, and I am no longer in that kind of shape.
I feel like what are other like fun pretzel-y poses? I don't know, I'm trying to think of some. Pretzel-y poses.
Can you do the foot behind your head thing?
No.
No? Okay.
Should we find out?
I think, okay. I used to be able to do it, certainly.
Oh, kind of. But not, like, I couldn't leave it there.
Nope. Oh, shit.
No one said I was graceful.
Hey, yoga isn't about graceful. It's about having a good time and fucking achieving inner peace, man.
So, well, we could do. Well, no, actually, I don't. I think it's bad for my back. You do a bridge.
A bridge?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a bridge and a plank?
Plank is forward. Bridge is the opposite.
So bridge. Oh, like bending. Oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta take my headphones off though, because they're gonna fall off.
That was fine.
At least I used to be able to.
I believe in you. There he is.
Oh.
Very good.
Oh.
Everyone's applauding you. Everyone was applauding you, but you couldn't hear it because you didn't have your headphones on.
Oh, cool. I should have stretched first.
No, this is it.
Oh, I haven't done that in so long. Okay.
Let's pigeon it up.
Okay.
So you are like on all fours.
Okay.
And then bring one knee in.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
This one I actually find another thing that I find really interesting about yoga is that my body is not equal.
Okay.
So there's things like on this side, I don't have pain really, but when I do this on the other side, I do have pain.
Interesting.
And I also have like one shoulder that's way more open than the other. And it just shows you how your habitual daily things affect the makeup of your body.
Yeah, I feel like yoga is really good at teaching you kind of the ins and outs of your body more than regular like traditional exercise. Because like traditional exercise, like, you know, you're working out one, maybe two parts of your body in a day. But yoga really is like that whole, you know. So you learn those things like you're like, oh, my right leg kind of hurts and but my left leg is chill.
And even just like, yeah, I think what I learned about yoga is you use your breath to fuel the movement.
Yeah.
Fuel the movement. So you kind of like, if you stop breathing, it will stop you from moving. Whereas like, I think when we like lift weights and do stuff like that, it's really easy to stop breathing because you're focusing on movement. So you're holding that energy in.
Yeah.
So that's like a whole other thing. Also, this one's fun.
Oh.
Get those hips open. I can definitely already feel my back like aching a little bit.
Yeah, that bridge was a bad idea. Glad I can still do it though. Feels good.
That's a move.
That's how I'm gonna improve. That's how I'm gonna impress all the girls at the gym. I'll just go into a bridge.
Oh God, my spine is in bad shape.
My chiropractor would be so pissed at me if you watch that.
So do you see a chiropractor often?
No, I don't know if you know this about chiropractic, but I think, so a lot of people think chiropractic is bullshit. I would highly recommend to anyone who's ever had chronic back pain.
I really liked it.
But so fucking expensive and not covered by any medical insurance on God's green earth.
It's really, really expensive.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I have nerve pain, so it's a little bit different. Like you can't really manipulate it.
Yeah.
But chiropractic, yeah, it has a ton of benefits. I've
yeah.
it in the past.
Especially if you're like nerve, again, use nerve damage is a little harder, but like I just had, apparently my spine was like twisted.
Oh, whoa.
Because I play, like I was saying to you off camera, when I was playing a lot of sports as a kid, I was like really overweight, but I was still like, I was always putting like all of my energy into it. So like I was playing baseball and I was trying to Babe Ruth that shit, but like I was not like in the physical condition to be really swinging for it that hard. So I was really screwing up my body.
Right.
But I mean, chiropractic helped me. I'll say it till the day I die. I think chiropractic is hype. I think it's great.
I think so too. And I think like there's definitely something to be said about thinking outside the box when it comes to medicine taking care of your body.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The amount of times that I've hit a wall with my doctor and then I just like go another route and all of a sudden there's a solution. It's like, okay, what's the fucking deal here?
Yeah. I had a really bad shoulder injury that came out of nowhere. Like I couldn't use my left arm for a while, for like 2 weeks. It was so painful. Yeah. And I went to doctors. I went to 3 different doctors all over the place, like specialists, all this kind of stuff. And it was for like a year. I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
And it's one of the main reasons I'm out of shape is because I was going to the gym really like consistently, and then I couldn't because I was so like fucked up. And I went to a physiotherapist and he gave me this, it's like the shittiest resistance band known to man. Like it's basically just a rubber band.
Yeah.
And he gave me like 5 stretches and he was like, do these every day, it'll be fine. And I just was. And I was like, do you know how mad I was? That I spent a year going to doctors and this guy was like, yeah, take this rubber band and just kind of go like this every once in a while. You'll be good.
God, I know. Even my doctor, I have nerve pain and I struggle with like, recurring back stuff. And her solution was just take an Advil every day. I was like, are you insane?
Yeah, right?
That's like brutal for your body.
Yeah, that'll completely fuck your entire insides up.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like,
yeah.
And that's why it's like, I saw this naturopath for like one specific thing and it was so life-changing for me that I'm like, okay, I believe that and that's recent. So I'm like, I believe that I can work through this pain. I just have to like find a non-conventional way of thinking about it.
Yeah. I think it's true that, I mean, it's the human body, right? The human body is so fucking weird. Like, it's just different for everybody, right?
It is. It totally is. We did it.
We did it. I'm so proud of us.
Me too.
I feel like that Paul Rudd gif from that one episode of Hot Ones where he's like, look at us.
Look at us. We did it.
We did it. Oh, okay. So that was yoga. I'm pretty satisfied. I'm gonna be in so much pain tomorrow, but in a good.
I'm gonna send you videos to do.
Yes, please. I welcome it. I should get back into yoga. Honestly, I've been saying I need to work out at home a lot more. And stop bitching.
Videos that are literally 20 minutes, and it's just so chill. Even just to like get you back on the horse.
Yeah, that's literally. I think I'm pretty good with routine once I get into it. So I think I just need to stop being. I need to stop being lazy. Is the problem?
Don't we all?
We've done our yoga. We've done our activity. I feel at peace and also incredibly out of shape. In equal amounts, I think.
That's all you can ask.
So we're gonna get into the last part of the show. My favorite part of the show. It's called the lightning round. The way this is gonna work is I have a prepared list of this or that questions. Very simple stuff, cookies, cake, cats, dogs, things like that. I'm gonna put 1 minute on a timer, and we're gonna try and get through as many of these questions as we can in that time.
I'm so nervous.
It's gonna be okay. I promise you. I swear to God, it's gonna be okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna put 1 minute on a timer. We're gonna ask as many as we can, and I'm gonna compare your answers to the answers I've prepared to see how close we are to becoming best friends.
Okay.
So I grab my pen and paper because we're old school here, killing trees.
Love it.
And you just said you love killing trees.
Okay, I'm an environmentalist and I shouldn't have said it, and I take it.
Headline: Comedian Allie Pearse hates trees.
It's the planet.
Okay, I've got my timer up. If you're ready to go, I'm ready to go.
Let's do it.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Cookies or cake?
Cookies.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Computer games or console games?
Neither.
Nice. Pop music or rock music?
Pop.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Stuffed animals or dolls?
Stuffed animals.
Hot chocolate or coffee?
Coffee.
Morning or evening?
Morning.
Text message or call?
Text.
Libraries or museums?
Museum.
French or Spanish?
Spanish.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Theater or cinema?
Cinema.
Love or money?
Love.
Books or movies?
Books.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Comedy or horror?
Comedy.
Ooh, and that's our time. That's, I think, the most amount of questions we've ever gone through.
What's up?
That was a bonkers amount of
Maybe
questions.
some answers that I was on the fence about, I'll be honest.
Was it
like-
love or money?
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is money. No,
Yeah.
the answer is love. I think I oscillate between mornings and evenings. I'm definitely a morning person. Like, I'm the most productive in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm like a glass of wine and some pals. Can send me up.
You, I think, are I don't know if you're the first guest to say morning, but you're certainly the first comedian to not say evening.
I'm sure. I believe that.
I am going to tabulate the score, the answers. While I do that, this is your time. You can tell the people where they can find you, what you're up to, and where they can find you on the internet.
Oh, hell yes. So you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Allie Pearse Comedy, AlliePearse. Very strange, Allie Pearse Comedy. And then on Twitter, where I joke and I haha with you, it's Allie_Pearse, same spelling. It would be weird if it wasn't. And I do tweet. I tweet a lot about my boyfriend, and he doesn't have any social media, so he does not care for that at all. And I tweet about other things, but it's always funny to make fun of people when they can't see it.
True.
I mean, I guess he could Google me, and it's like, you're obsessed with me. Relax. What was the other question I was thinking of? Comedy or horror? I mean, definitely comedy because I have to.
True.
But and also, I never really, like, anytime I agree to watch a horror movie, I always regret it. But I would say that I'm always very intrigued by good horror and like anything psychological.
Mm. I think that's the thing, right? Is that like I love horror movies just because I love movies.
Yeah.
But I hate horror movies because I have really bad like mental health issues when it comes to horror movies. So I'm the kind of person that not only does it like stick with me, but it will actively fuck my week up.
Yeah, totally. And I can totally get that. I loved horror when I was younger, which is so weird. I think it's because you don't actualize it as much. I'm not sure. But anyways, I watched all of the Saw movies over and over and over again. and those images are seared in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, I think about stuff, some of the torture stuff from that, I think about it all the time. It's like, that's like 15 years ago.
Allie Pearse thinks about torture all the time.
All the time.
That's the thumbnail.
It.
Allie, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I want you to know I've had such a good time. I hope you have too.
I did.
I want you to know that you scored a 9 out of 18, which
That
Well,
doesn't sound very
see,
good.
it doesn't sound good on paper, but what it does mean is that I think we've still achieved the goal of becoming best friends, which means that I think that proves the show's premise that you don't need to have everything in common with someone. You don't need to, enjoy the exact same things, feel the exact same ways, live the same lifestyle to become best friends.
That's true.
And I want to thank you so much for becoming my new best friend. I want to thank all my best friends out there listening at home, however you listen to the podcast, whether you watch it on YouTube or you're listening to it on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Play, Podbean, Stitcher, Pocket Pod, whatever new podcast app I've been added to today. I just get like emails and they're like, you've been added to this app. And I'm like, I don't believe that's real. Make sure you follow our guest at Allie Pearse Comedy, ALLIEPEARSE Comedy, and Allie_Pearse on Twitter. Make sure you follow me at OldKingCake on every social media. You can keep up to date with me, what I'm doing, and also if you want to follow the show, it's at Let's Be Best Pod on Twitter. Somehow Let's Be Best Friends was already taken. It's very upsetting. Make sure you can catch me live on Twitch every single weeknight at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Feel free. I take questions from chat a lot of the time. People will give me ideas and thoughts, so if you like that, do that. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all those cool algorithm things. Also, we have a merch store now, so if you like this beautiful pink hat,
I was going to ask you about it. It's so good.
it's such a good hat. I'm in love with it. You can go to oldkingcake.com/merch. And also you can go to oldkingcake.com again to find out all the things that are happening with me. I'd also like to thank my best friend, Isabel Wing, for the intro to our podcast, Let's Be Best Friend, and Seth Feldman for the outro. And that's all the time we have for this week. So remember that your mom was your best friend at one point, so give her a call, and we'll see you next week.